Venom, Let There Be Carnage is a sequel to the 2018 movie Venom, obviously. Except this one was not directed by Ruben Fleischer. This one is directed by Andy Serkis, who, as we all know, is a living legend. And yes, I know this review is a couple of weeks late, but it feels weird because actually this movie is not really out for major chunks of the world yet. So it feels like I'm late, but I'm also early. It's strange, but either way, here we go. At the end of the first movie, we were introduced to Cletus Cassidy, played by Woody Harrelson, and we got the setup to the fact that the next movie was going to be about Carnage. As you all know, he is Carnage in the comics, and that's exactly what happens in this movie. Cletus Cassidy breaks loose, and he is now the rival symbiote to Venom, and the both of them have to fight. It's a pretty simple plot, and that's really the movie. That's the whole basis of it. It's very simple. It's also very short as a result of it. It's only clocking in at about 97 minutes, including end credits and one mid-credit scene. The movie is, of course, eventually building to that fight, but for the most part, we focus a lot more on Eddie and Venom's relationship. At the end of the first movie, once they were both still confirmed to be one and the same being, it hinted at an idea of a sequel being more focused on their back and forth, which I think was the best part of the first movie, which was a movie that I wasn't a huge fan of. And I'm going to cut to the chase right here and say Let There Be Carnage is a significant improvement on that movie. I have more positives for this movie than I do negatives. I do have some negatives, I'll get to that later. But I enjoyed myself with this one a lot more. And like I said, a lot of that has to do with the fact that this focuses in on that relationship quite a bit more. To the point that it makes Venom and Eddie sound like an old married couple. There are lines that literally feel like they're having some kind of a domestic dispute. There's even moments where Venom will just be like, I cannot live like this anymore. And then there'll be those, back and forth, like, what do you mean? It's like, I do everything for you. It's like, no, it's all about you. It's like, no, it's all about you. No, it's all about you. So there are things like that which are so well handled in the movie that I couldn't help but have a little silly grin on my face when those things were happening. And I like the fact that the film embraces that a lot more than the first one did. The first one felt like it was having an identity crisis, kind of like Eddie and Venom were. But this one feels more in sync because they're more in sync in this movie. And so I guess there's a filmmaking evolution there in terms of the narrative. I don't know. Were these two going hand in hand? Was the first one supposed to be that way? Do I need to revisit the first movie? And Tom Hardy is excellent in the movie. He does a really good job, and he's very funny, and he's very entertaining throughout the entire film. He's having the time of his life. Same goes for Woody Harrelson. He's having a ball. Every scene with him, he is chewing and literally like chomping the scenery, no pun intended. He's having a blast with this thing. He's also really great as Carnage. I thought he was really cool. The actual fight between Venom and Carnage, awesome. Looks really great on a giant screen. It was pretty awesome. There's some great cinematic moments that definitely, are worth the price of admission. There's a loud rock-like score to it by Marco Beltrami that covers the entire film. But I did have issues with the movie. I do think that it's not a perfect film by any means. I think there are things that could have been improved. As much as I'm praising the Eddie Venom dynamic, it is 2/3 of the movie. It pretty much encompasses 70% of the runtime, and I think it sort of overstays its welcome at a point. Like, as a romance movie, it works wonderfully, but in a film that's trying to be something more, it's trying to be more about this other symbiote who's now coming and wants to, cause havoc, that also becomes like sidelined as a result of it. Like, the actual Carnage stuff is not as much as you think in the movie. And so when the entire movie becomes Eddie and Venom having this sort of like marital issue, and that's it sometimes feels very, very slight in terms of a story and in terms of a narrative. Thankfully, the movie is very fast. At, like I said, 97 minutes, this thing moves very, very quickly. Sometimes to a fault. There are scenes that feel so frantically edited that you're like, how did we go from this to this to this in like 1 second? Especially in the first few minutes. There's this jump that happens, like, okay, here's this detail, and now this, and then this, and then this, and it's like, whoa, hold on. Like, 5 different scenes and character development moments happen in like 1 second. Can we just wait a moment here? And so I feel like that can be a little bit, crazy. That was something I had an issue with in the first movie too, because it goes from Eddie has this high profile job to losing it all within like a second, and it's all really crazy, like the fact that it happens as quickly as it does, to the point that we didn't really have a time to get invested in what was going on before it already happened. Similar thing happens in this movie. And while I understand that there is a specific reason for this, I do think that this movie would have been a lot better with an R rating, because there are moments with Carnage that are very brutal, but they feel brutal, not like you see it. And there are specific key sequences with him that feel like they were going for something more, but they held back because of the PG-13 rating. Especially one scene in a prison. It really feels like they were trying to go for something very, very violent over there, but they had to cut away, and you had to have CGI damage of some other kind take place to mask the fact that that was probably going to leave a huge splatter of blood or something like that. Even in the finale sequence, there were moments where you could tell it wanted to be a lot more in terms of the violence factor, in terms of what was happening on screen. And so that felt limiting. I know there's a reason for it. I know it's probably because they want to tie it into something down the line, and that's fine, but I just feel like this suffers a little bit as a result of it. But overall, did I still enjoy this one more than the first one? Yes, I did. I still think it's a mostly entertaining movie. Does it leave a lot to be desired? Absolutely it does. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but it's a film that I can still find myself watching more and more and just having fun with it. Like I said, this movie embraces that silliness a little bit more. It sometimes overstays its welcome in that sense, and sometimes it can sideline things that were supposed to be more crucial to the movie that's, on display. But overall, it was fun. I'm going to give Venom, Let There Be Carnage a 7 out of 10. As I mentioned at the beginning of the review while talking about the runtime, there is a mid-credit scene. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but yeah, stick around for that. It's a moment. Definitely, definitely stick around for that. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to more reviews very soon. If you've already seen Venom, Let There Be Carnage, I'm sorry I'm late to the party, like I said. Let me know what your thoughts were in the comments down below. Let me know. And as always, if you like this, please just subscribe. And I'll see you guys at the movies.